Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's interview for Women on the Rise. This is my girl, Natalee Jean, and she is here to share with us about her story and how she got started in business, where she sees her business going. And when I asked her to give me a short intro, I just want to hug her. First of all, she is a boy mom times four. Holy cow. A wife to a SWAT sniper. Even bigger hug to her. Law enforcement community is huge. She's a gym owner, a health advocate, and lover of all things adventure. So this should be fantastic. I only know her from Instagram, so we're getting to know each other tonight as we chat along with you guys. So Natalee, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, well, gosh, this is so awesome. It's funny just how the internet is such a blessing in, certain ways, and that you and I would have never connected had it been for Instagram, which is so
Right.
funny. But yeah, so, I grew up just in a traditional family. My dad worked a corporate job. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And so I went into college and I was like, I want to get a good degree and get a good job in the corporate world and that sort of thing. And I did, and I had a really great job in a travel company and I loved it and took, advantage of so many benefits of traveling. And then I started to have a family and realizing that driving, commuting, 1 hour just to go to work, spend 8 or 9 or 10 hours there to commute 1 hour back was just, wasn't suiting what I wanted in life. And so, I had brought it up to my husband. I was like, I want to go into owning my own business. I don't know what that looks like. And I had said something to my dad as well. And around this time, probably a few years before, my dad opened up some UPS franchises in the Denver, Colorado area. And so he was familiar with franchising. And, at this time he was still working his corporate job and then doing this kind of on the side, which is a very normal thing for new entrepreneurs. But so my dad he kind of opened that door to entrepreneurship. And so when I brought it to him and had mentioned it to him, he's like, I think it's great. Do you want to open up some UPS stores or something? And I was like, well, I mean, it's not really my passion. So I declined kindly. But then it just happened that, I've always kind of just been into health. I wasn't a great athlete at all. I just enjoyed, I think I wanted to be, in high school. I just never was. But then I went into college. And so this is kind of a side note, but I went into college and ended up playing rugby for Arizona State. Loved it. I loved yeah. Did you not know that?
Oh, I guess I've missed that. That is badass. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so, I played rugby. I loved what the community, the team aspect, everything. So sports and all of that was just something I enjoyed for fun. I never used it to lose weight or anything like that. And so that's kind of the side note, because then when I was looking into owning my own business, my dad, one of his poker buddies or something, had said that his daughter owned a few of these small boutique type gyms. And so it was initially brought to my attention, and I was like, well, I love fitness and I love working out, but I was such a big gym rat. I loved going to the big gyms with all the amenities and stuff. I was like, who really wants to go to a small gym? But anyway, I looked into the whole thing, fell in love with the mission, and the fact that they were just all about their people. And so it was kind of one thing was leading to another. I was still working my corporate job. It was kind of going sideways just in terms of, the commute was really starting to weigh on me. Bosses had changed, things were changing, and I was just starting to lose interest in what I was doing in the corporate world. And so I was doing this side gig of looking into the gym and owning a gym, and what does that mean? And so I kind of, we were going down that road of okay, if there's ever any red flags, we can call it quits, or we can do something else or change direction. So we just ended up going down that road. And it was this time 8 years ago. So it was around the holidays 8 years ago that I was still working my corporate job. And then in my free time, I was doing the gym stuff. I left my corporate job right before Christmas and had all of, December off essentially. And it was the most glorious feeling of freedom that I could spend with my at the time I had two little boys. One was 3, the other was like 8 months old. And I loved it. And then January started, and my gym was starting to get built out, and doing pre-sales and stuff like that. So that's really kind of, and it's funny, when I was leaving the last day of my corporate job and I was driving, and I was in tears because you have this feeling of like, what did I just do? And is this going to
We
be
all need that
okay?
OS moment in our life.
Yeah, and it was scary, but um, I was driving, and it was unlike anything I had ever seen before. And I'm a person of faith, but like across the sky just were these, like, this huge flock of birds. And I know it's like, okay, that happens all the time, but it was just like anything I had never seen before. And in my heart and my soul, it was God saying, take this and fly, like fly, fly. And I was just like, bawling. And
Oh my gosh, I love that.
yeah, so I will never forget that. And so yeah, so that's kind of really how I got into entrepreneurship. And owning a brick and mortar is has so many challenges of its own. Obviously, COVID was not a friendly event for us, nor probably many people. But during COVID, then I just started to, okay, what more can I do? What else can I do? And so going online was a huge thing, especially for fitness stuff. And so over the last 2 years, I've really started to dive into more online businesses, and creating, communities online. I have found a lot of communities online that I have just fallen in love with, met people from all over the world. I had a client in Scotland that would
That's
never happen.
awesome.
Yeah, like it would never happen at my gym, right? Because in my gym, I've got maybe a 5 mile radius of who I can reach.
Right.
And so online, it's like the world is at my fingertips, really. Um, so I've just really started to do a lot more stuff online over the last couple of years, or the last 2 years, and really honing in on skills for that. Because eventually, too, my husband will be able to retire in about 3.5 years. We'll be in our young 40s. We'll have 4 kids, and so we'll probably be crazy by retiring. But just having options, and I want to travel more. I love to travel. I love to have experiences. I want my kids to experience the world outside of the classroom. I'm all for schooling, and my kids go to a public school, and it's great. I don't think I could ever homeschool, maybe, for a little while, but I want my kids to go and experience the world. So in a few years, I want to be able to do that and have a business that I can do from anywhere in the world, and meet people that are in my circle, all over the world from online, and meet them actually in
I just
person.
got like the biggest chills hearing you say that because it is so key. I think last year showed a bunch of us time is precious and we have to spend it wisely, and we only have so much. So getting the experiences, spending that time with your family, having the freedom to not call in sick to freaking work or whatever is just absolutely huge. And I love that you had to learn how to pivot and you didn't pause. You didn't just like, oh my gosh, and you freak out and like regress. You just kept moving. And I love that. I cannot wait to hear where you're going.
Yeah, well, and not to even make it all like flowery and fancy, because I struggled, right? Like I struggled with, like, what does this mean? Like, is my business going to go under? I mean, even still to this day, we have those questions, like, are we going to make it this next month, or whatever? And by the grace of God, for whatever reason, he's kept our business alive. And obviously, so very, very, very grateful for that. So yeah, and now, like, just big project that I'm looking into or working on, that I actually kind of took this year to slow down, because I am a go, 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 go kind of person. And COVID forced us to slow down. And then, but even still, my brain's like, okay, let's do this. Let me try this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And I think I burnt myself out at the end of last year.
The
And so I
entrepreneur brain, it's a beautiful thing.
I know. And that's when I'm like, okay, this is why I know I'm an entrepreneur to the core, because I have ideas like up the wazoo. But I really did take like this year to kind of slow down and not feel like, give myself pressure to succeed in the online world. And so that just kind of allowed my brain to like flesh out what this idea is and what it's going to mean. So this whole year was not pushing, any products or services per se. And I just was kind of sitting with like myself and my vision and really identifying what that vision is. And so that's kind of what going into next year is with like the power box and what we're doing with that. But I don't know if that's what we want, if you want to talk about that. Or
let's talk about that power box. But I also love what you said, like you've taken a year to sit with yourself. I feel like as entrepreneurs, it's like, I gotta go and I gotta sell and I gotta do this, or oh my gosh, I'm not gonna make it. And it's hard to step back, and it's hard to take that time to do the unsexy work, I call it, to my team. I'm like, God, I don't want to do that part. It's so boring and nobody sees that part, but that's the part that gets us to the next level and keep going. So yes, let's hear about this power box.
Yeah, well, and just to really quick on what you're saying, I took a transformation coaching program this time last year. And one of the exercises that we was requested of us, not required, was to actually sit in silence for 4 hours, like not doing anything, not walking. I know. It's like, when do I have time for that? But like not even going for a walk, not working out, not doing anything, seriously, like sit here for 4 hours. And it was in that I realized like how much like my mind was going, but then I gave it time to slow down. And that's when things were clearer. That's when things felt easy. Like I let go of like the chatter and the hustle. And I just
love that.
like with it. It was probably of that whole, I think it was like a 14-week program. That was been the thing that's like stuck out the most.
Who was that through? Do you remember?
That was Jim Fortin.
Okay.
So I found him through James Wedmore. And I know like those two actually like work a lot closely together in the online world, and they both live in Sedona, and they're very like kind of woo woo. So I take what serves me and leave the rest. But,
well, I'll get their info from you and we'll put it in the comments to this video. So if people want to check that out, they can. Sounds amazing.
Yeah. It was really cool. So I love and that's the thing. I love personal development. And I think personal development for people is so huge and could ultimately like really impact this world to be a better place if people took time for that.
Amen.
Yeah. And so my power box is it's literally like a community. Primarily right now we're women, community of women. Most of us are probably in our 30s, 40s. We have a lot of us have kids that are kind of school age. They're not like newborns, but not grown kids. But we really, because that's kind of when I feel like it's almost not midlife crisis, because we're not quite that age yet, but it's that like, okay, I've birthed these kids and I've done all these things for them. And now do I go to work? Do I create something? What's in it for me now? Yep. And so this power box is literally, it's a membership, and it's a quarterly subscription box where each quarter they get something that focuses on a different topic. So in Q1, we focus on health, and that could be, nutrition, physical activity. And it's not like you need to do 5 push-ups and 10 squats. It's let's motivate and encourage each other to find a workout program that's going to work for you, for me. Amen. And it's probably going to be totally different, right? Yep. Yeah. And something that is consistent and sustainable forever, for as long as we can. And then Q2, we talk about personal development stuff. So we're really taking that whole quarter to focus on, reading really strong books on mental health or behavior or how to grow, in our relationships, stuff like that. Q3 is all around getting out of our comfort zone. That is really like the core of my story, playing rugby for college. Then I went on to run a full marathon as my first race ever, had never run before. Then I went on to, do fitness competitions, no experience in that. Last year, actually, for my husband and I, our 12-year wedding anniversary, we hiked the Grand Canyon, rim to rim to rim. No stopping, took us 34 hours, didn't sleep. And so it was getting out of our comfort zone. And that, I couldn't tell you what we did for any of our other anniversaries at all. Wow. Probably dinner, drinks, something. But for our 12-year wedding anniversary, we hiked the Grand Canyon. And it really, bonded us a lot.
Sure it did. That's a lot of time in the woods.
Yeah, I know. We had amazing conversation though. Like, after a while, you're like, what else do we talk about? And so you ask just questions. And I was like, what's your favorite thing about, our kids? And so we would go back and forth and be like, well, I love how Blake does this, and Crew is really good at this. And then it just like created this like deep conversation and relationship, not only to each other, but like then our relationships with our kids, because we were talking so positively about like what this child is going to do in this world. So it was really cool.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah. And then, my latest getting out of my comfort zone is, you know this, but I did the Mrs. Arizona pageant, had never done any pageants before, not knowing anything. At the same time, I signed up for jujitsu. So me and my family, we do jujitsu. So it's like this, like, why not? Right? Why not? And then Q4 is all around paying it forward. So just how can we give back to our communities? How can we give back to our world? How can we leave our world a better place? And that's all Q4. So that's this Powerbox community and the Powerbox membership. That's my biggest project that I'm working on right now. And that's what I've taken this whole year to really like slow down and be like, is this the direction? Is this what's gonna, and anytime I've like been like, oh, let's do something else, like it always comes back to that. So
bring on all the subscriptions, like for real though. Like who doesn't want a subscription box?
Yeah, well, and the reason I even kind of went that way is because one of the biggest things being a health coach is people want accountability, but they want it consistently and not at a top dollar price, right? So the whole idea is to help people be consistent, to be held accountable, and for it to be sustainable, like time after time after time. And then they start to develop the habits that 1 year from now, 2 years from now, they're like a totally different person. And so that's
Absolutely. I just heard that, and I heard your story so much. Oh my gosh.
Aww.
One question I do have about your story is I don't want to ask a woman's age, but how old were you when like this transformation or this idea of there's got to be more kind of happened for you?
Yeah, I think so when I left my corporate job and went into entrepreneurship, it was around the time that I was having kids and realizing that time was so much more valuable to me than it was when, it was just me and my husband. But I will say that even as a young girl, like I always felt different. Like I always felt, I had dreams to be like, and this is like interviewed for being like a great pianist, because I used to play piano too, fun fact. But I always wanted to like do some great things. So I think as a young kid, I always had desires and dreams to do something big. But really, like if I were to look back, when I started having kids is when time became so much more valuable to me.
I love that. And I love that you did it while you had kids. Like that's gotta be even harder.
No, it's hard.
You got young kids to start an entrepreneurship journey, like wowzers.
Yeah, it was hard.
But a couple other questions. I want to know, what advice would you give to a woman out there who just is like, there's gotta be more. There's gotta be more, or I don't know if I can add one more thing to my plate, even though that one thing could be what gives her what she wants.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of women probably feel that way, is that there's something more. I'm meant to do more. Because I mean, I feel that way every day. No matter even if I've accomplished X, Y, and Z, I still am like, okay, what's next? And so the advice I would give is just to kind of lean into that. Action is always like, like it helps to, and just small actions, right? Like of doing something, making a phone call or making a connection. And then that's the other thing is community. So number one is taking action on it, like pursue it. And maybe even your action is journaling about it. Like what's your idea on this? Like, like if you were to dream big, like what does that look like, and journal about it? Maybe that's the action. And then like number two is finding other people, because I mean, I'll go back home to like my, my parents and my siblings and stuff. And it almost, and not in a bad way, but it almost kind of like makes me be like, oh, I should just get a job. Like I'm such a dreamer. If I just got like a 9-to-5 job and had a steady paycheck, like then I would fall into those old habits. But when I'm around like you or other people that like have this drive and this desire to do more, like I'm just pushed more and more. And I'm like, I'm not alone. I'm not like silly for thinking this or dreaming these things. So community is so big.
Amen. I totally agree with that. What was oh yes. So when you're maybe in a funk or not feeling super motivated, what is it? What gets you going? Is there a song? Is there something you do? Like, what's your hype up routine?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, yes, I am like a health person, but movement of the body is like always like I'll go for runs and that'll like I'll get so many ideas, or I'll go for a hike and like it's just like all the ideas come. So whatever that is for you, like just move, like having movement, getting a little sweaty, your heart rate going up, that even when you don't feel like it, even when you feel tired, it's because like you create your energy, right? Like energy is renewable source that it comes from you alone. So even when you're tired, even when you feel like you're in a funk, like movement of the body helps to break through some new ideas and exciting ideas that you wouldn't have had if you didn't move your body. So that's what I would say.
I so just adore you and everything you say. Like, I really feel like we need to collaborate on a training of some kind for
I know,
entrepreneurs.
like sisters.
My mind is like that brain. It's just like it's going now. I'm like, dang it, I gotta go to bed in a couple hours.
That's so funny.
Oh, it's what happens. Where can people find you, either in person for your gym or online to connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm in Arizona. My gym is in Glendale, Arizona. So it's an Anytime Fitness. That's the franchise that we're a part of. And if you aren't in Glendale, like 9 times out of 10, if you have wherever you live, you might have an Anytime Fitness. And the gyms, like the owners truly, truly care about their people. So I would still encourage you to check them out. And then online, I am on Instagram primarily. I am Natalee Jean Fit. I just literally today created the Instagram handle for the Power Box because I'm like, oh, like I gotta start a
action.
Yeah, action, right? So I created that. So it's Power Box Community, all like one word, because Power Box was already taken. And it's so funny when you try to do different, like names and whatever. The Power Box Community is that Instagram. There's no posts or anything yet, but I do have a lot of stuff on Natalee Jean Fit on Instagram, so you can find them both that way.
Well, I absolutely love that. I have loved chatting with you. You gave so much information to these people, like, wow, their minds are going to be blown. And I pray that it just keeps your pay it forward in the fourth quarter. Like, that is how we change this world. We're not going to do it by ourselves by any means. It's got to be each one of us one day at a time, paying it forward and just changing this world one person at a time. And I adore that about you. But we'll tell these people goodbye, and then I've got to chat with you a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.